August 5, 2018. Whole, holy, healthy. Neil Worthington, licensed Unity teacher and spiritual leader at Unity of Payson, Arizona.
Is whole, holy, healthy. And I want to begin by telling or reading a story that you may be familiar with. The story is the story recounted in John, the 5th chapter. And I'm going to read it from the King James Version because that's where I first heard it at 4 or 5 or 6 years of age. So we're still adjusting. Can
yeah, we
Tim?
can't have the fan without the light. We're trying to figure that out.
So we're juggling.
So we have to leave the light on for the fan.
Bear with us in our adjustments. Here's the story. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then first, after the troubling of the water, stepped in was made whole of whatever disease he had. And a certain man was there which had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie and knew that he had been now there for a long time in that case, he said to him, Wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool, but while I am coming another steppeth down before me. Jesus saith unto him, Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. Remember that story?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to come back to it a little bit, but I hope you listened with a little bit different ears than you may have usually listened to that story. You may have heard something new. It may have struck you a little differently. We'll come back and reflect on that at a later point. But remember that our theme for this month is I am healthy. And we spoke the affirmation that, or did we? We saw the affirmation that went with us, but I want to change that just a little bit. I am healthy says, in each moment miracles are taking place in my body. And I'm going to change it and add something. In each moment miracles are taking place in my body, mind, and soul. It's not limited. We so often just focus on body, disease, illness, hurt. So we have 3 words today. I'm supposed to have a clicker, aren't I, to do it?
Oh, we missed that, didn't we? No, I can do it. If
You do it.
Yeah, because you can't really see, so just...
So, click away. Whole, you keep up with me, Terry.
Yeah, I'll keep up with it.
Whole, holy, healthy, those 3 words.
Yeah, we got that.
So,
already.
I can't stand here totally in one place, so I'll speak loudly.
Well, it should be on me.
If you're a part of this, I can't go on without some feedback. So let's go with those 3 words, and you tell me what immediately comes to mind, a synonym or some quick few words to say what whole means. Come on.
All inclusive.
All inclusive.
Complete.
Complete. I like that one.
Balance.
Balance. What was it?
Balance.
Fulfilled.
Satisfied.
Satisfied.
Homeostasis.
Homeostasis. I'm going to stop on that one. Who knows where it could go from there? But I like it. Holy. Now give me something for holy.
Sacred.
Sacred.
Spiritual.
Spiritual. Divine.
Infinite.
Infinite.
Intimate.
Intimate. Ooh, good. Let's go on. Healthy.
Vibrant.
Vibrant.
Robust.
What was that?
Robust.
Robust.
Functional.
Functional.
Sorry.
I got a story to go with that one later.
Invigorated.
Invigorating.
Enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic. You know, you sometimes are going a little bit away from the usual. I like it, so you're with me already. And I want to pull some of those thoughts together as we go forward. So, whole, and Terry, we got, I think, the meanings for this is, anybody like etymology?
Yes.
I'm a junkie on that. I love to go see words, where words came from. And these three words, strangely enough, have very common roots. And they're mostly English and Germanic. But here's for whole, meaning entire, whole, unhurt, that's a little different, uninjured, safe, healthy, sound, and now we're moving in a little different area, genuine, straightforward. Just giving you these meanings for now. Next, holy. While we look at it from that perspective that we talked about as sacred or consecrated, it comes from the same place. That means that it goes back to whole. Whole, holy, makes sense, doesn't it? And then health. And I want to read from, and you can read as well, from Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity. And here's what he had to say. He must have been an etymology junkie as well. Here's what he has to say. Health is from the Anglo-Saxon word meaning whole, hail, well. The one who uses the word really implies that he has an understanding of the law of the perfect harmony of being. Health is the normal condition of man and of all creation. We find that there is an omnipresent principle of health pervading all living things. Health, real health, is from within, note that, and does not have to be manufactured in the without. Health is the very essence of being. It is as universal and enduring as God. So, next slide, Terry. Anybody heard this phrase?
Yes.
As within, so without. So often we look at, I'm wandering again. So often we look at the without. Our eyes are just focused there most of the time. But guess where it all starts? Within. As within. So without. So as we continue to develop this theme, we're going to be looking at it that way. That it starts inside, that it begins in consciousness, that it works its way out into manifestation and into realization here in our world. So let's go back to whole now and consider it a little bit more. Whole is we're looking at it from a different perspective. We're looking at it as entire, complete, sound, and straightforward. We're focusing on wholeness and not brokenness. So many times we spend all our energy, our thought, and our time on our brokenness and not our wholeness. So today we're looking to our wholeness. I want to tell you a story. Before Arizona for me, a few years ago, maybe three now, I worked in a senior living community, and I liked my title. I got to pick it. Director of Excitement. I was Director of Excitement at Bountiful Hills Senior Living Community. And there was one of our members who was in the memory care section, Frances, and she was just the sweetest, but didn't remember a thing for a minute. And her daughter, Barbara, came to see her nearly every day. She lived some distance, almost 30 miles away, but she was there every day. And her daughter got involved in the activities program, and she would always be jumping right in there and participating, which I thought was great, and I could use some help because I didn't have it otherwise. So Barbara had one distinction that I found out about after some time. She always kept bringing jigsaw puzzles in, and we'd work the jigsaw puzzles. I found out that she had been a Hallmark World Champion jigsaw puzzle maker. Well, whatever it is. But she had outdone every other contestant globally in working a particular puzzle in the shortest period of time. So she didn't flaunt that, but after a time I looked at her and said, how can she get this done? She let us try, of course, but how can she get this so quickly? And then I stepped back and looked just a little bit more, and I noticed that she was looking more at the picture on the box than she was the pieces on the table. And then she'd go to the pieces and boom, 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 they'd go in. And then she'd look and give her focus to the box, to the photo on the front of the box. Well, I tried it, but it didn't work right that way well for me. But it taught me a lesson in that focusing on our brokenness, our pieces, can sometimes keep us from appreciating and really experiencing easily the wholeness that we are. On to holy. By the way, all of these things merit much more conversation, and I'll be eating birthday cake over there near the library someplace. If you want to converse more, please come. So, do you remember that phrase from Scripture? Be ye holy, for I am a holy. Comes from 1 Peter. Well, I want to add a little bit to our usual understanding. Not only is it the sense of being consecrated, it is the sense of being complete in oneness. At Unity, we affirm the oneness of all of us, all of this universe. There is no separateness in the same way we usually understand it. There is individuality, and we appreciate the diversity of that, but we still look primarily at the oneness, similar to that picture of on the puzzle box. So holiness has a different flavor then. It's not piously sitting in a corner. It's not some particular practice that you do every day at a certain time. Oh, that could be good. It is setting apart. It is also appreciating completeness in the oneness that we are. My father was a Baptist minister, and so I came from a church that was very conservative, and for a long time I threw out a whole lot of stuff. But when you've learned it at 5 years of age, it just doesn't go away. And there's something that came up this week, and I realized there's a great truth in it. The language is dated, and I want to share it with you. I'm going to try to sing. Take time to be holy. Speak oft with thy Lord. If you know it, sing along. Abide in him always, and feed on his word. Make friends with God's children. Help those who are weak. Forgetting in nothing his blessing to see. I didn't unitize that because there's a truth in that. Take time to be holy. Both in your closet, as Scripture sometimes says, and in that sense of completeness, even in this body here, in this town of Payson, in our country, globally, appreciate and know that there is holiness in that oneness. Let's go on to healthy. And I want to emphasize, as I spoke before, about healthy in mind, body, and soul. We emphasize that mind so easily. And of course, that's something that we do at Unity. Our thoughts create things. Our thoughts create the reality that we experience. And then there's the body. We're healthy in mind, healthy in body. But I'd like to emphasize also the sense of soul. And I'd like to define it this way: our evolving nature that is both fully human and firmly linked to the divine, to Source. We know through Unity teaching that we are divine expressions. The divine has chosen to allow, to plan for us to be the expression of divinity. Sometimes we do better at it than other times. But as our soul evolves, and it is an evolution process, that divine expression becomes closer and closer to that which the master teacher Jesus expressed, and to the possibility, the potential, as we said, as we saw in the daily word, that is ours without limit. So when I looked at this healthy, I could easily think about the ways in which I have brought into my spiritual practice ways to keep my mind evolving and being healthy. And I could even see the sense of my soul moving along. Feels good when you can look back and see some little bit of growth. The body I always had a hang up with, and somehow I ran across the little book. Well, no, I didn't run across it. Donna had it by her bedside, and she shared it with me. Anybody know Louise Hay?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'm gonna, if we're talking about all of these things being an inside job, I'm gonna look to Louise Hay for one thing that plagues me, and well, I'll tell you, I am just really healthy, and I'm so grateful, except my lower back hurts me from time to time. Matter of fact, pretty often. And I tend to stoop over a little bit. I'm not walking. If I'm in the supermarket, I'll grab the cart and kind of lean on it. And I thought, well, if it's truly an inside job, if it's within first before it becomes without, let me see if I can discover what might resonate with me, and it resonated. Lower back. If you have lower back problems, you go to Gaia. No. That's an outside, but maybe prompted by the inside response. Fear of money. Lack of financial support. Now, that Baptist preacher's home that I grew up in also told me that it was sinful to be wealthy. And I've carried that with me most of my life. I'm delightful that just a little bit before the time, probably coincidental with my study, my Unity studies, I began to see some change, little by little bit, that domestication that said it's not good to be rich, it's not good to have money, began to change, began to shift. And I'm grateful that now the right inputs have come to me, Spirit has prompted them. I happened to go to the library and find on the bookshelf, you know, that one where you can buy 2 for 50 cents or whatever it is. a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. Anybody know that book? I'd read it long ago and I'd forgotten about it. But I read it and something really connected with me and I was able to put it in place in my life. And even now, I see that the inside work I'm doing there is having effect. I registered for 2 conferences last week. There would have been a time when I would have, oh man, how can I afford to do this? And somehow, I can't add it up exactly. I had the ability without question, without problem, to register for 2 conferences. I am just so grateful. And it makes me want more and more to stay inside with the issue. One more thing, that's one story, but then, this one's, that's not even in my notes, this one's hot off the press. I get my glasses so I can remember it. Sunday mornings I wake up early and I stay with my message, usually about 3. My father did it, and somebody told me that maybe you're just following your father's habits, but it seems to work for me, and I love that quiet time at 3 in the morning. So I worked with my message, I did some of my meditation, and then about 6:30 I thought, well, I'll just go back for an hour of sleep now. I laid down. And as I'm laying there just about to go back to sleep, I don't ever get this. I got a cramp in my leg. Not my calf, but up in my thigh. And I walked it off and I lay down and there it is back again. And back again and back again. I didn't get back to sleep. But I thought, okay, I'm looking it up in Louise Hay. And so I did. Cramp, that's with a C, right? Okay. Okay, here we go. I just want to share this with you. I'm not too... There we go. I think. OPQR. So, cramps, tension, fear, gripping, holding on. How good is that to go with relax, let go? So, in the process of getting this place ready and getting my message ready for today, I had really experienced some fear. You probably noticed that there are a few things I haven't let go of entirely around here this morning. But Louise also gives us an affirmation. I want to read you that. I relax and allow my mind to be peaceful. So I sat down in the chair where I often relax, and I did. I relaxed, and I focused on peace. And then we're gone. The cramps were gone. No magnesium or whatever else you need. Now, it could be magnesium would be helpful. I'm not. But I love the fact that it truly is from the inside out. And as we develop that consciousness within, it outpictures in our world that which we desire. The same is true for us as a community. As we together within hold something in prayer, hold something dear, aspire to something, intend something, that will outpicture. As it has beautifully here in this wonderful place. And I am so grateful. So, last slide, how do we do this? How do we evolve in the direction of wholeness? It's not enough to just talk about it, but we need some keys to do that. Remember that man at the pool of Bethesda? Jesus didn't tell him, oh, come on here, I'll stay with you and I'll get you in the water first when it happens. He didn't say, here's the magic touch, you're gonna get healed. He said, take up your bed and walk. Very ordinary kind of thing. And the irony is that later on, the man didn't even know who it was, didn't know it was Jesus, but he in faith, he took up his bed and walked. Something resonated with him. He took up his bed and walked and he was healed. A little later, Jesus saw the man in the temple. This part of the story I didn't remember too well. And Jesus said, and I will tell you the old scripture, and then I'm going to rethink it. Go and sin no more. So to me, and what our understanding is with this is not that, oh, you've been bad, that's the reason for this. What it means is, you've been hanging on to a lot of errors. Your thinking has been in error. So Jesus told this man at the pool of Bethesda very strongly, keep your mind straight. Turn aside from thinking that is error. How much do we let our mind run us so much of the time, don't we? I do. But when we choose that which we know to be true, it makes a huge, huge difference in the reality that comes out in front of us. A couple more things about how we evolve in the direction of wholeness, holiness, and health. Two words that come to mind are restoration and regeneration. We also believe in unity, that we were perfectly created. Perfectly. And I'm talking about too much. So there's nothing wrong with us from the get-go. Original blessing rather than original sin. We just have forgotten that somehow. And we need restoration. We need to be brought back to the truth of who we are. So give your mind to that as you move ahead. Remember the phrase that Paul used, be renewed by the transforming of your mind. Keep. Can you take control of your mind? Most of us don't. But it's possible. Give your attention to it and intention to it. One other way is to make use of the power of the Word. If you don't read Daily Word every day, or some other inspirational reading, you might consider it. It is that powerful Word that does transform us. And it is also the power of the words that we speak. We've talked about conscious languaging in Spiritual Soup, and we'll talk about it one more time. But choose, be aware, be self-aware. Take time to just step back and assess yourself and observe yourself. And choose words that will build and evolve your soul. Then finally, if we are to realize wholeness, we must believe in it. How do you believe? Well, sometimes believing is taking something you resonate with and somehow being with it enough that it becomes part of you and displaces some of the alternative things that didn't work for you. We call it affirmations. And I hope you use them because they are powerful. And I'd like to use with you one affirmation to close this time. Emily Cady was the first writer for Unity, before Charles and Myrtle Fillmore even. First published writer at Unity. And she has a wonderful book, Talks on Truth. And chapter 4, I think it is, has affirmations. And here is one. I'm going to read it once and look at it as I do, and then I'm going to want us to say it together. It all has to do with wholeness, holiness, and health. I am spirit, perfect, holy, harmonious. Nothing can hurt me or make me sick or afraid. For spirit is God and cannot be hurt or made sick or afraid. I manifest my real self through this body now. Let's say it together. Here we go. I am spirit, perfect, holy, harmonious. Nothing
can hurt me or make me sick or afraid, for Spirit is God and cannot be hurt or made sick or afraid. I manifest my real self through this body now.
If you want that, tap me on the shoulder. I'll email it to you, or you can find it. Google works great. So for all of this and these thoughts, we are thankful. And so it is.